Happy Saturday night, everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you're going to have to excuse my stunning good looks and my hair. Anyway, it's been a crazy week, and I'm happy that we had a couple people come and pick up some completed projects and stuff, and some engines that were done. It was wonderful seeing those guys and getting their projects done, and also had a couple more bikes dropped off. It was their turn in this crazy backlog. Today, I want to talk about something I have never done a video on before. And I think it's time because I've talked before about our world's changing. Well, one of the things that's also changed is shipping. And, a lot of you guys, you may ship individual motorcycle parts or your entire motorcycle. You certainly do to me. And you may be shipping things to other shops of your choosing. And in all my years of doing this stuff, there's a lot of things that I've discovered, and tips and tricks, if you will, on how to ship parts so that they arrive safely. So in this video, I want to give you some do's and don'ts of shipping parts, despite my wonderful hair. Hang in there with me, guys. Let's get this ball rolling. Before I get into the video, I want to tell you guys about something. I'm probably going to shoot the video for this tomorrow, which will be Sunday. I think I'll probably shoot it tomorrow morning. But anyway, I want to give you guys a little clue on something. You know, I'd mentioned a couple of times about doing another fundraiser, specifically around the All Kids Bike program. And if you may remember, it was 2-3 years ago that we actually placed, thanks to you guys, your donations, help from Brian Clock and several other folks, we placed the first 2 All Kids Bike programs in the state of Georgia. Well, here where I'm at in Tennessee, this county is actually a very impoverished county. As a lot of you know, I do help out the volunteer fire department when I have an opportunity. And some of the calls we went on, guys, it's unbelievable, the level of poverty in some distant areas of this county, to the point that there are literally hundreds of families grouped together in trailers that don't even have running water or indoor plumbing. It's quite a thing to see. So keep an eye out. I don't want to go too far with that, but keep an eye out for that video that I'll probably do tomorrow morning. And I want to tell you guys more about the program and see if we can, possibly move forward with that. So anyway, now to the video. Let's talk about shipping. As you guys know, I receive motorcycles from people really all over the planet. I think, all of the motorcycles that are in here, I think there's 12 or 14 different states represented. So not only am I receiving motorcycles, I am also receiving engine parts. And shipping has become a bigger problem than most people realize. So like even my friend Mike Beland at A1 Cycles does a video series. I think he does it on Facebook, and he calls it the Box of the Week. And let me roll a clip from that right here.
Box of the Week. I don't know what's in here. Oh, sounds clunky. Something was poking out there. Oh, it's somebody's crankshaft. Look at that, with a little bit of cardboard scraps around it. Oh, and a note. Yeah, the note didn't even survive. People, we can do better.
As part of Mike's Box of the Week, he's literally just showing people how inadequate packaging can be. Now, what prompted me to make this video is I received a crate engine from a fellow. And it was a complete engine, and he made this absolutely beautiful wooden crate for it and had it bolted in and everything else. And the crate was magnificent. And he sent that complete engine, which with the crate weighed about 200 pounds. He sent that on a common carrier. I won't mention their name, but he sent that via common carrier. And here's a photograph of what remained of that crate. Literally, what I received was his engine in a plastic container, and the only remnants remaining of his wonderfully built wooden crate was that piece of wood that you see hanging from the front mount. The damage to that engine was so severe, it actually bent the sprocket shaft of the crank about 5 degrees. Unbelievable. The reason you see the heads off the engine is because the heads, the rocker boxes, and everything were absolutely, literally destroyed. And of course, you see the bent fins on the cylinders that are simply just kind of the aftermath. The heads looked far worse. You would almost think this engine was pushed off the back of a truck running about 120 miles an hour. So, literally, the carrier destroyed this man's engine. It can be redone, but we've got to buy new cylinders, buy new head castings, and that sort of thing. So it was quite a thing. Of course, you saw in Mike's video there some of the stuff that he gets. So in this video, I want to tell you about shipping your motorcycles and some of the benefits of who I have actually used for many, many, many years and had wonderful, wonderful luck with it. So one of the things first, let's take a look at this box. Now, you'll notice inside this box, the box is about a 12 by 12 by 24, and you'll see there's a whole bunch of cardboard that's folded up and wrapped around it. And essentially, you find a box that's roughly maybe a 12 by 12 by 6, give or take, or 12 by 12 by 4, depending on the year model of your head and that sort of thing. If you're shipping heads and cylinders, you can typically squeeze them in about a 6-inch box, 6-inch tall. And so if you buy a fairly decent box and then wrap the perimeter of that box in thick pieces of cardboard, it doesn't have to be pretty. The idea is that nothing in that box can move around. You want to keep every single component that's in that box separated. You don't want to take, I've had guys send me heads and cylinders mated together and taped, and what happens? The tape comes loose and they beat each other to death, and then the decks get messed up. I've also seen just heads just wrapped in a couple of layers of bubble wrap and thrown into a box. And of course, at some point, they seem to get crushed or a fin gets bent or something like that. So the idea is to keep everything separated and get everything in that box to where you have about an inch boundary layer all the way around, rigid. And then you also, again, making sure everything is separated. You want to make sure nothing can move around and rattle inside that box. The other thing we need to think about is the overall weight of the box. So if you're shipping heads and cylinders to a shop, it costs you a little bit more, but it's actually better to send a box with your heads in it and then a box with your cylinders. You may save a little bit of money by packing it all in one box, but then at some point it becomes an oversized or an overweight box. And then at that point, it just gets abused and higher likelihood of being dropped or the box tearing and things like that. So if you're sending heads and cylinders, it's really best to send them into separate boxes and wrap the box in the fashion that I've shown you. And when it comes to sending a complete engine in a crate, if you can build your own crate, that's wonderful. That's really the best way to do it. There's another way. You can get small pallets from pallet companies that may be 2 foot by 2 foot. And then you could buy an inexpensive engine stand from your local bike shop, distributor, wherever you know, that sort of thing. And bolt the engine to the engine stand, bolt the stand to that pallet, and then build some walls around it. And that's a good, safe way to ship an entire engine. And then, of course, we're talking about shipping complete motorcycles. Now, there are a couple of really good companies out there that specialize in, they're huge companies that specialize in shipping motorcycles. Of course, those are great companies to deal with. Now, those companies typically come with a very long lead time, and they may even have multiple depots that they have to go through. There could be several hands that actually touch your motorcycle. It's very rare that the large companies ship direct point to point. And that's where my point comes in here. When you're shipping a large box, maybe a complete engine, or you're shipping a complete motorcycle, there's one company that I've used for many, many, many years, and it's been wonderfully successful, and it's a company called Uship, all right? And it's not Y-O-U ship, it's the letter U ship. I'm going to post a link down here and one in the description where you guys can check them out. And there's a lot of reasons why I have used Uship, and those reasons benefit you as the consumer and the shipper. So one of the cool ways that they work is that you actually receive bids. It's more of a listing service than it is anything. And so you can log into Uship, you put in your origin, you put in your destination, you put in your time frame of when you would want to ship the motorcycle. And then you get the large box or package, and you get to sit back and wait for bids to come in. Now, when those bids come in for your shipment, you have the opportunity to read reviews of each individual shipper. You could receive bids from a large common carrier, or you could receive a bid from a retired couple with an RV and a trailer that is moving items from one side of the country to the other. So you'll get a vast array of bids, but you get to read that profile. And you also have the opportunity to speak directly with the individual that will be transporting your goods, be it your complete engine or your motorcycle. That gives me a lot of peace of mind. You get to figure out who it is you're really dealing with there. Another wonderful aspect of it is that when you actually agree to that price and you agree to their shipping terms, then yes, you put in your payment information, your card information, but you're not actually charged yet. The way the process works is your shipper comes and picks up your package. Most of the time it is a direct shipment, single person in a trailer dropping your stuff off, so your stuff only gets touched once, depending on your agreement with your shipper, of course. But that when you do not have to actually authorize payment of your shipment until you know for certain that your shipment, be it your box or your motorcycle, has arrived safely and there's no damage and there's no issues. So essentially the process, the shipper, when it is received at the destination, then you're notified, you're called, you're emailed, hey, we have just dropped off your package, will you authorize payment? Well, then you then have the opportunity to speak with me or whatever shop or person you've shipped your stuff to verify, yes, it did make it, yes, everything is safe and sound, nothing is damaged, and then you have that opportunity then, okay, boom, I authorize the payment. So it's a very secure way to send stuff, and I like having that security when dealing with other people's stuff. I have only in my entire history, and it's been well over a decade that I've used Uship and recommended Uship to folks, I've only had one single issue throughout that entire time. And when I had that one issue, it was because a tie-down strap had damaged one of the fork cans on an FL Softail model. And the company, because the person that shipped it had bought the extra insurance, that company actually paid me in advance to replace that fork can for the guy. It was simple. It was easy with a phone call, no arguments. It was absolutely awesome. It was wonderful. So if I were to recommend something to someone or ship anything myself, I would use Uship because it gives me the freedom to decide who is actually going to have possession of my stuff. And I get to see their track record. It's a great way. And it also can be exceptionally economical. Just depends on the bids that you get in. All right. So that being said, there's a couple other points that I want to give you when you are shipping a complete motorcycle. Number one, leave a little bit of fuel in it. Simply because it can be cranked and run and pulled from the shipper's trailer to inside the building or the shop. Most of them don't want them shipped with a full fuel tank. If the type of work you're doing does not require you to have saddlebags and side covers or any luggage and all this stuff, empty out your saddlebags. Maybe even remove your saddlebags, remove your side covers if it's not required as part of your repair. That's a great thing for you to do. Not only reduce the weight, but those are less painted parts that you run the risk of something potentially getting scratched. All right, so that's another tip. And another big one, make sure your battery is fully charged. All right. It's also not a bad idea if you have a trickle charger and you keep a trickle charger on your bike, ship the trickle charger with your bike and ask the shop that's receiving your bike to utilize that trickle charger. Every shop should have one. I have them all over the place. But it's still not a bad idea to do, right? The next aspect of it, if you do have a security system on your motorcycle, absolutely put that motorcycle in tow haul mode, all right? Otherwise, even if you leave the key on the inside of the bike somewhere, Invariably, what happens if it's not in tow haul modes? Well, a couple things can happen. One, the alarm can still go off after a while, and it will completely kill your battery. The second thing is because the security system is always kind of hunting for the key fob, it'll kill the battery in the key fob. So when your shipper shows up at the destination to unload the bike, he's now got a dead battery, and figuring out, it becomes a total pain in the butt. And so, it's a good idea. Put that sucker in tow haul mode. That way you won't have that issue. All right. And if your shipper, speak to them. That's a great part about this as well. When you talk to your shipper, ask them, is it going to stay on this trailer till it arrives at its destination? And if that's the case, there's no reason for it to ever be taken out of tow haul mode. Maybe even take a piece of masking tape and put it across the dash tape. Tow haul mode, write it on there. It's a great way to do it. Good communication there. As far as shipping parts, there's a couple points. I'd mentioned to you guys about the boxes and how to line these boxes and things like that, bubble wrap. And there's one tip that I certainly want to give you. If you're sending any part to a machine shop, I'm going to highly recommend against using styrofoam peanuts. All right? I get a lot of stuff like that. Styrofoam peanuts tend to just blow everywhere. And then those things, if you just take a box full of styrofoam peanuts and you throw a set of heads in there, and those little peanuts break up, they get in oil ports, oil galleys, and valve guide, bores. The peanut thing just gets everywhere. The static electricity and stuff. It's an absolute pain in the butt to clean up. And, the reality is, if you have those things in there, yes, as a machine shop, we can just pour some acetone in there and it melts and it goes away. It's a relatively easier thing to deal with, but it's a pain in the butt to unpack it. And it's really not the most secure way to send heavy parts in a box suspended only by peanuts bouncing around in there. So avoid the styrofoam peanuts. The next advice I could give you, if you have any part that's oily, wrap it in plastic, a sealed plastic container, maybe a garbage bag or something like that. A bag that you can seal it up, because oil can leach out of a lot of places, bolt holes and things like that. And if these shipping companies, like your major shipping companies, if they see oil stains on boxes and stuff, they'll hold back shipments and do things like that. So, that's another great way for you to avoid any delays in your shipping. And of course, keep your tracking numbers and see what's going on. It's also not a bad idea for you to insure your packages. Now, each, like a set of heads, for example, I would say if you were sending a set of heads to me or any other machine shop to have work done, investigate what it would cost you literally to replace at retail price those, say, head cores. And, a set of, say, M8 head cores, I think, are, brand new, are $750. So I haven't checked the prices lately, but I think that's about where it's at. So I would highly recommend insuring that package for the retail value replacement of those hard parts. All right. So that would be another thing. Yes, sometimes it can be very difficult to get an insurance claim back, but most of the time, even though it can take a while, I do see them eventually paying those claims, provided that you can demonstrate that you have packaged it properly. That's the way out. So if you buy yourself a box, almost all cardboard boxes have a seal on the bottom of them, and they show you the size of the box, and it also will have an imprint in ink of what that box is rated at. So if you're sending, 50 pounds worth of parts on the inside of a box, and that box is only rated for 20 pounds, and it's a single wall, corrugated box, of course they can deny that shipment. But if you put that stuff together, take a quick picture of that, you wrap the extra cardboard around it, the box is rated for the weight, there's really nothing they can deny on that claim. All right. So guys, I hope this helps you. Go back again and check out Mike Beeland at A1 Cycles on Facebook there. His Box of the Week series is absolutely hilarious. And again, check out the, it's hilarious to watch, but not hilarious for the people that own the actual parts in the boxes. It's kind of unfortunate. But anyway, the other thing is, check in the description. I'm going to leave you guys a link to Uship real quick that you can click on there. Because it's a bid-based system, this isn't like a paid advertisement deal. So there's really not a discount code that I can give you, because everything in their program is based on bids from these shippers. So there's really not that much of there's really no discount code, any way to do it or anything like that. But I just wanted you guys to have the information. And the next favor I ask, keep an eye out in the next day or two, hopefully tomorrow, Sunday. I'll put out the video and tell you a little bit more information about the All Kids Bike program up here, what it's going to cost, and how how I would like to raise the money, of course, with you guys' help and anybody that's willing to help, to be able to get kids on bicycles. I think it's a pretty awesome program that can affect thousands of kids that, quite frankly, some of them live in a world that is sad. So if we can give them a little bit of joy when they're at school and they get to play on bicycles and team building and stuff with their friends, and potentially get them on two wheels so that our industry continues to grow over many decades, it would be a wonderful thing to do. So keep an eye out for that video. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks to all the members. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all your supporting comments. I really appreciate you guys. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves and each other. Have a good one.